I was standing in line at a coffee shop when I saw them. Emma and Scott. Laughing. Holding hands. The kind of laugh that comes from inside your ribs. The kind of touch you don't fake. She tilted her head just like she used to with me. And he kissed her forehead. Right there. In public. Like they were proud. I didn't cause a scene. I didn't even blink. I just stepped back, walked out into the cold, and sat in my truck. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I had given that woman my kidney. My actual kidney. Not as a donor match from a list, but as her husband. Her partner. Her person. When the doctors told us she might not survive without a transplant, I said, "Test me." When they said it was a match, I said, "Book it." No hesitation. No second thoughts. Just love. And now here she was, alive, glowing, whole, with the man who gave a toast at our wedding. My best friend. The one who said, "You're the luckiest man in the world, Matt. She's a rare one." He was right. She was rare. Cold. Calculated. The kind of rare that doesn't love you back, just uses you, like a temporary bridge to where she really wants to be. And as I sat there gripping the steering wheel, I thought, she didn't just take my kidney, she took my trust, my time, my best years, and gave them to him. That was the moment I realized. The woman I almost died for never planned to stay in my life. She was only waiting to feel better before she left it. If this story grips you, subscribe. There are more real-life betrayals, quiet revenge, and justice told from a man's point of view. Because sometimes, the people we love the most leave the deepest scars. I met Emma at a blood drive. Not exactly the stuff of Hollywood romances, but it felt like fate. She was handing out granola bars and apple juice, chatting with every donor like they were old friends. Her laugh was quick and soft, and when our eyes met, it stuck, like something invisible tightened around my lungs. We started talking. One conversation became coffee. Coffee became dinners. Dinners turned into weekends that never seemed long enough. And then marriage. I was 29 at the time, working as a mechanical engineer in Lexington, Kentucky. Structured. Predictable. I like stability. I like fixing things. Emma was the opposite, a painter who never used the same brush twice. Messy in the most beautiful ways. She made the ordinary feel cinematic. Everyone said we balanced each other. That's how people put it when someone brings the fire and someone else quietly holds the extinguisher. I didn't mind. I liked being the calm in her storm. We got married 2 years after we met, small ceremony in her uncle's backyard. My best friend, Scott, stood beside me as my best man. We'd known each other since 7th grade. Football, camping, even our first hangover, we did it all together. He'd always been the guy I trusted to tell the truth, even when it stung. After the wedding, Emma and I moved into a little 2-bedroom house with peeling shutters and a crooked mailbox. She called it charming. I called it a project. Every loose hinge and flickering bulb, I fixed with my hands. I wanted her to feel safe. When we found out she had an autoimmune kidney disease, it didn't hit me like a bomb. It was slower, like the walls closing in an inch at a time. First the fatigue. Then the bruises. Then the weight loss. She was only 33. I still remember sitting in the doctor's office, Emma clutching my hand as they explained the risks, the wait list, the dialysis, and then the transplant. I didn't even wait to be asked. I just said, "Test me." Scott was there the day I got the call that I was a match. He clapped me on the back and said, "You're a better man than most." Maybe I was. Or maybe I was just the most blind. The surgery was painful, more than I expected. Emma's body healed faster than mine. But I didn't complain. I was proud to do it. Every scar on my side was a reminder that she was still alive, still breathing beside me in bed, still smiling when she looked at me. Except, she stopped smiling at me not long after that. The calls got shorter. Her hugs tighter but emptier. Her eyes started drifting to her phone more than my face. She said it was recovery. She said she was just finding herself again. And I believed her. Because when you love someone that deeply, you believe even the things that hurt. We started sleeping in separate rooms. She said my snoring was keeping her up. I stopped asking questions. Just bought her a sound machine and said, "Whatever you need." That's the man I was. Give. Provide. Make it easier. Be her safe place. What I didn't know was that I was being phased out. The surgery didn't just give her a new kidney, it gave her a clean slate. And slowly, without saying a word, she started rewriting the story without me in it. And Scott? He was still around. At first, I thought he was just being the friend I needed. Coming over, bringing beers, talking about football and offering to mow the lawn when I looked like hell. But looking back, he never once asked how I was doing. He only asked about her. How was Emma's energy today? Did she eat? Was she resting? And I, the fool with a 10-inch scar and a mattress full of painkillers, was too grateful to notice I'd already been replaced. There was one night. I still think about it, about 4 months after her surgery. Emma said she was going to visit her cousin in Cincinnati for the weekend. I packed her suitcase, made sure she had her meds, even put a little note inside with a dumb joke and a heart. She didn't call me once the entire weekend. When she got back, her phone was wiped. New wallpaper, all her old texts gone. She said it was an update glitch, that she dropped it in water. I believed her. Because love makes you stupid in a very specific way. It rewires your instincts and tells you silence is normal. Then there was the night Scott came over, drunk. He said he'd just broken up with some girl I'd never even heard of. Emma had already gone to bed. Scott and I sat in the garage, just like old times, watching the rain. He asked me how Emma was doing, not how we were doing, but how she was. Said she looked stronger, happier. Said it twice. Then he looked at me a little too long and said, "You ever wonder if saving someone changes them too much?" I laughed it off at the time. But that line, it stayed lodged in the back of my throat. There were texts too. One I caught over her shoulder. Just a glimpse. It was from Scott. All it said was, "You sure he's asleep?" She smiled, tapped something, and locked the screen. When I asked who it was, she said it was Sarah, one of her friends from her painting group. I didn't press. Because pressing felt like accusing. And accusing meant not trusting. And I wanted so badly to keep trusting her, even if it meant looking away. My sister, God bless her, pulled me aside once. This was before everything unraveled. She said, "Matt, I don't know. Something's different about her." I got defensive. Told her she was being judgmental. That Emma had been through hell and just needed space. My sister nodded, backed off. But now I know. Women know when another woman's heart has changed its address. Even my mom stopped asking how Emma was. She used to call her weekly. Sent her little prayer cards during recovery. Then one day, without warning, she stopped mentioning her at all. I think she knew too. She just didn't want to hurt me. I kept seeing it, feeling it, hearing it. But I kept folding it up and filing it away. Because when you sacrifice your body for someone, admitting they don't love you anymore feels like telling yourself your pain meant nothing. And that kind of truth, is harder to survive than a missing organ. It happened on a Thursday. I had gotten off work early. We'd wrapped up a project ahead of schedule and my supervisor told me, "Go home, Matt. Take the win." I remember thinking I'd surprise Emma, maybe grab her favorite tie on the way back, light some candles. Try to, I don't know, reconnect. I was pulling out of the parking lot when my phone buzzed. A text from Scott. Only, it wasn't for me. It came through by mistake, some weird group message glitch. But it was clear. "I missed last night already. Your lips are a drug. He has no idea." I pulled over. Just sat there, staring at the screen. My stomach twisted so fast I thought I might throw up right there in the car. I read it 5 times. 10. Then I drove home, slow. Like my body didn't want to get there too quickly. Like part of me was hoping I'd misunderstood everything. When I'd pulled into the driveway, Scott's truck was already there. Not parked on the street. In the driveway. My driveway. Emma always said she hated how loud his engine was, said it gave her a headache. I walked in through the back, through the kitchen. No voices. Just music, low jazz, something I didn't recognize. The living room light was dimmed. Her wine glass sat on the coffee table. 2 plates. 2 forks. A candle burned halfway down. I walked down the hall. Her door was closed. My hand hovered over the knob, but I didn't touch it. I just stood there, listening. And then I heard it. Her laugh. That laugh. The one she hadn't given me in months. I turned around. Walked back out. Sat on the front steps. I don't know how long I was out there. Long enough for the porch light to click on automatically. When Scott came out, he didn't even flinch. Just looked at me, eyes wide for half a second, then said, "Matt, I didn't know you were home early." He adjusted his belt. I'll never forget that. I didn't respond. Emma came out behind him, wearing one of my old college hoodies, the same one she used to sleep in when we first started dating. Her face didn't say sorry. It didn't say regret. It said, "Finally." She tried to open her mouth. I held up my hand. I didn't want to hear it. Not then. Not ever. But she said it anyway. "I didn't plan this, Matt. It just happened," Scott added. "We didn't mean to hurt you, man." I didn't say a word. My jaw clenched so hard it ached. My vision blurred. They stood there for a few more seconds. Then Emma whispered, "You deserve someone who really loves you." And then they walked past me. Together. Into the night. Like I was the third wheel in my own life. The next few days were a fog. Friends texted, but I didn't respond. My sister called. I let it ring. I stared at walls. Slept in short, angry bursts. What really crushed me wasn't the betrayal. It was how easy they made it look. Like I had never mattered at all. Like my kidney, my care, my loyalty were just transactions she needed to cash before moving on. A mutual friend, Kyle, reached out a week later. He said, "I'm not picking sides, man, but they've been talking for a while." That phrase, "for a while," it echoed like a bullet. This wasn't some heat-of-the-moment affair. This was calculated. Planned. I started replaying every girl's trip. Every night Scott just dropped by. Every shift in her mood after my surgery. She waited until she was strong again. Until my body had healed enough that she could walk away clean. One night, about 2 weeks later, I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten. Emma's handwriting. She thanked me for everything. Said she'd always cherish what we had. Said she'd felt trapped by guilt, but knew it was time to live honestly. She ended it with, "Please don't hate me. You gave me life, and I'll never forget that." I read it 3 times. Then I lit a match and watched it burn in the kitchen sink. Because what she really meant was, "Thanks for saving me, so I could give my new life to someone else." That was the day the silence became louder than any scream. The day I finally stopped making excuses for 2 people who didn't deserve them. But stopping the excuses didn't stop the ache. It just left me alone with it. I didn't go into work for a week. Told my boss I had the flu, but the truth was, I couldn't move. Couldn't think. I'd sit at the edge of my bed for hours, staring at nothing, trying to remember what my life was before her. The house felt like a coffin. Every room echoed with her. The scent of her shampoo in the bathroom. Her paint-stained hoodie still draped over the chair. A half-burnt vanilla candle on the dresser. It's a special kind of pain, when someone breaks your heart, in a house you built for them. Friends dropped off for two reasons: they didn't know what to say, or they already knew and didn't tell me. Some tried. Kyle texted, "You good?" I stared at that message for 10 minutes before typing, "Yeah." Then I turned my phone off for 3 days. My mom sent a casserole. I left it on the porch until aunts found it. The only time I left the house was to drive to the pharmacy. Standing there, waiting for my blood pressure meds, I caught my reflection in the glass cooler door. I didn't recognize the man staring back. Pale. Sunken. Like someone had turned off the lights behind my eyes. I thought about calling her once. I really did. I had this fantasy that maybe she'd answer crying. That she'd say, "I messed up. I'm sorry. Please come get me." But what would I do if she did? Take her back? Pretend none of it happened? Lie beside someone I'd never trust again? That was the most brutal part. I didn't want her back. I just wanted the version of her that never existed in the first place. I started questioning everything. Was any of it real? The nights we slow danced barefoot in the kitchen? The time she held my hand during my MRI and told me I was the bravest man she knew? Or were those moments just performance? Stepping stones? I tried to fix it, in my own messed up way. Thought maybe if I sent her the photo album I made after her surgery, she'd remember what we had. I spent hours looking at those photos, me in a hospital gown, pale, smiling through pain. Her hand in mine. Her eyes red from crying. I never sent it. Because by the time I closed the book, I knew. She remembered all of it. She just didn't care. And Scott? Not a word. No text. No apology. He blocked me on social media. Like I was the one who broke something. There's a loneliness that doesn't come from being alone. It comes from being erased. From realizing you weren't a chapter in someone's life. You were just a detour until they found what they really wanted. I stopped eating regularly. Went from 182 pounds to 161 in a month. My belt needed a new hole. My eyes developed dark circles so deep, I started wearing sunglasses indoors. People at the grocery store looked at me like I just buried someone. And in a way, I had. Not her. Myself. The version of me that believed loyalty guaranteed love. That if you gave someone everything, they'd never throw it away. It took losing part of my body to realize she never once saw me as permanent. She saw me as a bridge. Strong enough to carry her across the storm. But never worth building a home on. And I might have lived with that truth in quiet agony. Until the day the wedding photo surfaced. Scott had posted it. Publicly. No shame. No warning. A beach ceremony. Small, intimate. She wore ivory lace, hair down, barefoot in the sand. His hand gripped her waist like he owned her. But it wasn't the photo that gutted me. It was the caption. Sometimes love isn't new, it's just been waiting for its chance. They got married exactly 11 months after she left. Same beach I took her to when she could barely walk after the surgery. Same spot where she once told me, "I don't know who I'd be without you." Turns out she didn't know. She'd just been rehearsing the script with me, while writing the future with him. I stared at that post for 10 minutes, maybe more. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. Something colder happened. A part of me detached. Not out of rage, but finality. Like when a storm finally passes and the silence is so absolute, it's almost holy. That was the moment I knew, this was never love. Not from her. Not from him. This was survival dressed in affection. Convenience camouflaged as romance. She didn't fall in love with Scott. She fell into alignment with what was easier. What was lighter. What came after I did the heavy lifting. And Scott? He didn't steal her from me. He just waited until I had nothing left to give, and stepped over the pieces. That photo didn't break me. It freed me. Not overnight. Not like a switch. But like ice melting in spring, quiet, slow, undeniable. The next morning, I woke up before sunrise. No alarm. No plan. Just awake. I made coffee, opened the windows, and sat on the back porch in the silence. Birds chirping. Wind moving through the trees. Nothing special. But for the first time in months, I felt like I was breathing for myself. Not for her. Not to prove anything. Just because I still could. That was day one. I didn't tell anyone I was starting over. I didn't post about it. No quotes. No gym selfies. No declarations of healing. I just started walking again. Every morning. 1 block. Then 2. Eventually, I dusted off my old mountain bike. Rode it along the river trail like I used to, before life got so tangled. My appetite returned slowly. Eggs and toast. Simple stuff. I stopped skipping haircuts. Started shaving again. It sounds small. But when you've been hollowed out by betrayal, taking care of yourself feels like an act of war. I signed up for therapy, online at first. I didn't want to sit across from someone and explain why giving away my kidney broke more than my body. But my therapist didn't judge. She didn't pity me. She asked the right questions. Hard ones. Why did you believe sacrificing yourself guaranteed loyalty? What were you afraid would happen if you said no? That last one wrecked me. Because the truth was, I had spent my whole life being the reliable one. The fixer. The guy who didn't leave. Even when I should have. Therapy didn't save me. It handed me the shovel and watched as I dug myself out. A few months in, I cleaned out our house. Boxed up every trace of Emma. The old birthday cards. Her favorite blanket. The canvas painting she hung in the hallway, gone. I didn't burn them. I didn't break them. I just let them go. Donated what I could. Tossed the rest. I repainted the living room. A deep navy blue. She always hated dark colors, said they made her feel heavy. Funny. They made me feel grounded. I changed the locks too. Not because I thought she'd come back. But because I was done leaving the door open for people who only knew how to leave. And then, something I didn't expect happened. Her name stopped hurting. Not immediately. But gradually. I'd hear someone mention Emma at the grocery store, and my body didn't freeze. Didn't flinch. She became just a name. Scott's too. One afternoon, I saw him at the gas station. He didn't see me. Or maybe he did and looked away. But I didn't feel anything. Not anger. Not grief. Just absence. Like looking at an old burn that doesn't sting anymore. And somewhere in that stillness, I found pieces of myself I thought were gone forever. The man who used to wake up excited for no reason. The man who read novels in bed. The man who blasted Springsteen in the truck with the windows down. I started showing up for that man. And eventually he came back. I even met someone, months later, a woman named Rachel. She wasn't loud or flashy. She didn't try to fix me or ask too many questions. She just listened. She asked how I took my coffee, and remembered. She asked about my scar once, the kidney one. I told her the truth. And she said, "You're a good man, Matt. That's rare." I didn't tell her that I used to think being a good man was enough. But I smiled. Because I finally understood something. Being good doesn't mean giving yourself to people who only know how to take. It means learning how to protect your own worth, even when it's quiet. Especially when it's quiet. Because that's when you hear the truth the loudest. Not from anyone else, but from yourself. I used to think that being a man meant holding it together no matter what. Smile through it. Provide. Protect. Endure. But no one tells you that endurance without boundaries is just self-destruction dressed as devotion. I learned that the hard way. I gave her everything. My loyalty. My youth. A piece of my body. Not because she asked for it, but because I wanted to be her anchor. But some people don't want an anchor. They want a launch pad. And once they get what they need, they leave you floating in the wreckage, asking what you did wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. I loved too much, too blindly, too quietly. I handed her the best parts of me hoping it would make her stay. But love given in exchange for permanence isn't love. It's fear wearing a tuxedo. If you're listening to this, and you've been through it too, the betrayal, the silence, the replacement, let me say this clearly, you are not weak for feeling broken. You are not crazy for missing someone who hurt you. And you are not less of a man for having loved deeply and lost harder. You are human. And you're allowed to heal in your own time, in your own way. If I could go back, I wouldn't take the kidney back. But I would have saved a piece of myself for me. Not just what was left. I'm not bitter. I'm just not blind anymore. And somehow, that's a gift too. Because now, when I look in the mirror, I don't see a man who got used. I see a man who survived. Who gave with an open heart, even when it cost him. And who still woke up the next day, got dressed, and faced the sun anyway. That's not weakness. That's power, the kind you don't post about. The kind you earn in silence. I don't need revenge. I don't need her to regret it. I just need peace. And I have it now, not in her absence, but in my own presence. So if you've ever been through something like this, if you've given everything and been left with nothing but your own breath and a scar to prove it, I see you. You are not alone. And you're not broken. You're just healing in real time. Type, I survived, in the comments if this story felt like yours. Tell your story. Say it out loud. Because silence is where betrayal wins. But truth is where we take our power back. Subscribe for more stories like this, not to relive the pain, but to reclaim it. Your voice matters here. And brother, so do you.